Matthew chapter 13. A story about a farmer. The same day Jesus left the house and went out beside the lake Galilee, where he sat down to teach. Such large crowds gathered around him that he had to sit in a boat while the people stood on the shore. Then he taught them many things using stories. He said, "A farmer went out to scatter seed in a field. While the farmer was scattering the seed, some of it fell along the road and was eaten by the birds. Other seeds fell on thin, rocky ground and quickly started growing because the soil wasn't very deep. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched and dried up because they didn't have enough roots. Some other seeds fell where thorn bushes grew up and choked the plants. But a few seeds did fall on good ground, where the plants produced 100 or 60 or 30 times as much as was scattered. If you have ears, pay attention." Why Jesus used stories. Jesus' disciples came to him and asked, "Why do you use nothing but stories when you speak to the people?" Jesus answered, "I have explained the secrets about the kingdom of heaven to you, but not to others. Everyone who has something will be given more, but people who haven't gotten anything will lose even what little they have. I use stories when I speak to them because they look, they can't see, and when they listen, they can't hear or understand." So God's promise came true, just as the prophet Isaiah had said, "These people will listen and listen, but never understand, and they will look and look, but never see. All of them have stubborn minds. Their ears are blocked up, and their eyes are covered. They can't see or hear or understand. If they could, they would turn to me and I would heal them. But God has blessed you because your eyes can see and your ears can hear. Many prophets and good people were eager to see what you see and to hear what you hear, but I tell you they did not see or hear." Jesus explains the story about the farmer. Now listen to the meaning of the story about the farmer. The seeds that fell among the road are the people who hear the message and about the kingdom but don't understand it. Then the evil one comes along and snatches the message from their hearts. The seed that fell on rocky ground are the people who gladly hear the message and accept it straight away, but they don't have deep roots and they don't last very long. As soon as life gets hard or the message gets them into trouble, they give up. The seed that fell among the thorn bushes are people who hear the message, but they start worrying about the needs of this life and are fooled by the desire to get rich. So the message gets choked out and they never produce anything. The seeds that fell on good ground are the people who hear the word and understand the message, and they produce as much as 100 or 60 or 30 times what was planted. Weeds among the wheat. Jesus then told them this story. The kingdom of heaven is like what happened when a farmer scattered good seed in a field. But while everyone was sleeping, an enemy came and scattered weed seeds in the field and then left. When the plants came up and began to ripen, the farmer's servants could see the weeds. The servants came and asked, "Sir, didn't you scatter good seed in your field? Where did the weeds come from?" "An enemy did this," he replied. His servants then asked, "What do you want us to go and do? Pull out all the weeds?" "No," he answered. "You might also pull up the wheat. Leave the weeds alone until harvest time. Then I'll tell my workers to go and gather the weeds and tie them up and burn them, but I'll have them store the wheat in my barn." Stories about a mustard seed and yeast. Jesus told them another story. The kingdom of heaven is like what happens when a farmer plants a mustard seed in the field. Although it's the smallest of all the seeds, it grows larger than any garden plant and becomes a tree. Birds even come and nest on its branches. Jesus also said, "The kingdom of heaven is like what happens when a woman mixes a little yeast into 3 big batches of flour. Finally, all the dough rises." The reason for teaching with stories. Jesus used stories when he spoke to the people. In fact, he didn't tell them anything without using stories. So God's promise came true, just as the prophet had said, "I will use stories to speak my message and to explain things that have been hidden since the creation of the world." Jesus explains the story about the weeds. After Jesus left the crowd and went inside, his disciples came to him and said, "Explain to us the story about the weeds in the wheat field." Jesus answered, "The one who scattered the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world, and the good seeds are the people who belong to the kingdom. The weeds are those who belong to the evil one, and the one who scattered them is the devil. The harvest is the end of time, and the angels are the one who bring in the harvest. Weeds are gathered and burnt. That's how it will be at the end of time. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather from his kingdom everyone who does wrong or causes others to sin. Then he will throw them into the flaming furnace, where people will cry and grit their teeth in pain. But everyone who has done right will shine like the sun in their Father's kingdom. If they have ears, pay attention. A hidden treasure. The kingdom of heaven is like what happens when someone finds hidden treasure in a field and buries it again. A person like that is happy and goes and sells everything in order to buy that field. A valuable pearl. The kingdom of heaven is like what happens when a shop owner is looking for fine pearls. After finding a very valuable one, the owner goes and sells everything in order to buy that pearl. A fish net. The kingdom of heaven is like what happens when a net is thrown into a lake and catches all kinds of fish. When the net is full, it's dragged to the shore and the fishermen sit down and separate the fish. They keep the good ones, but throw the bad ones away. That's how it will be at the end of time. Angels will come and separate the evil people from the ones who have done right. Then those evil people will be thrown into the flaming furnace, where they will cry and grit their teeth in pain. The new and old treasures. Jesus asked his disciples if they understood all these things. They said, "Yes, we do." So he told them, "Every student of the scripture who becomes a disciple in the kingdom of heaven is like someone who brings out new and old treasures from the storeroom." The people of Nazareth turn against Jesus. When Jesus had finished telling these stories, he left and went to his hometown. He taught them in their meeting place, and the people were so amazed that they asked, "Where does he get all this wisdom and the power to work these miracles? Isn't he the son of the carpenter? Isn't Mary his mother, and aren't James, Joseph, and Simon and Judas his brothers? Don't his sisters still live here in our town? How can he do all this?" So the people were very unhappy because of what he was doing. But Jesus said, "Prophets are honoured by everyone except the people in their hometown and by their own family." And because the people didn't have any faith, Jesus didn't work any miracles here.